Hey, this is Jozy 103 with Two Tanks No Aggro, bringing you Jozy Sim of the Month, a series where I review simulation, city building, and survival games. This month we're taking a look at the latest from Soma Sim and Casino Games, City of Gangsters. City of Gangsters is a mob-themed, turn-based resource management game that was released on August 10, 2021. The game seems to be heavily influenced by the Paradox Interactive game, Empire of Sin, which was released in 2020. The difference is, people actually like City of Gangsters. I should start by stressing that the game isn't about managing a mafia. As others have said, it is a bootlegging simulator with people in suits running around with Tommy guns. This isn't a bad thing, but the title can be misleading. The game starts on June 1st, 1920, roughly 6 months into the Prohibition era. For those who aren't aware, the Prohibition era refers to a 14-year period where the United States banned the production and consumption of alcoholic beverages. Obviously, it wasn't very successful, and here we are. Right away you'll notice that the graphics are simple, but nice enough to look at. This gives me hope that the developers chose to spend most of their efforts on gameplay mechanics. To create your game, you choose between 3 cities to play: Chicago, Detroit, or Pittsburgh. Then you can customize your character by naming them, picking a portrait to represent them, selecting a nationality, and choosing a starting skill and personality traits. Your nationality, starting skill, and traits will affect how your character interacts with the world, and how the world interacts with them. As your reputation grows, you'll be asked to give your character a nickname. Of course, I went with Queen Ratchet. The ultimate goal of this game is to make a legacy for your character before Prohibition is abolished. You start by playing through a tutorial where your sweet Aunt Catherine teaches you all about bootlegging, as aunts do. I found the tutorial to be helpful and well done. After that, Aunt Cathy releases you into the world and allows you to start your first bootlegging operation out of the back of her deli. Each map has a different size, layout, and demographic. The businesses in the city are randomly generated, as is your starting safe house and product. The map is made up of corners, which are just intersections. You need to move to each corner before you can see what businesses are there. Opening a front on a corner will add it to your territory. You can also absorb adjacent corners over time using that front. Fronts require money to operate, so you're sort of forced to extort surrounding businesses during the early stages of the game. I was a little bummed by this. As counterintuitive as it sounds, I wanted to be a nice gangster. But I wasn't. Growing your territory is not possible without making friends with the surrounding business owners, mobsters, and police. I guess it's time to start networking. Your personality traits and skills can help with this. As you get to know people, other dialogue options open up, such as favors, missions, and opening new fronts. You may also discover new things to buy and sell at each location. You'll end up acquiring more locations as your operation grows. At that point, you can continue producing the same item you started with, or branch out and produce a variety of new products, such as moonshine, gin, beer, and more. You can learn new methods and recipes as you make new friends. In order to unlock them, you usually have to complete a mission, or pay up. Your newly learned methods and recipes will allow you to upgrade your various production sites. You can also set up delivery and pickup routes. The interface for this is somewhat clunky, but it gets the job done. You'll need to hire people to manage sites, make deliveries, and send into battle. You can do this by talking to people whom you have a good relationship with. They will suggest people for you to hire. Make sure you view their personality traits before hiring, though. A crew member can level up skills the same way you can, but their personality traits do not change. And trust me, there are some bad ones. Speaking of battle, you do have the option to attack other territories. Unfortunately, there aren't really any battle scenes or fighting mechanics. Attacking is done through a dialogue box. Your weapon and number of crew members will increase your chances of winning. There also really isn't any way to defend yourself or your territory, at least not that I could see. Enemy mobsters can attack you or your buildings during their turn. They can also convince your fronts to close down, subtracting whatever corners that are associated with that front from your overall territory. Fighting with other territories isn't good for profit, though. It's much easier just to pay for a truce if you have the money. Truces last for a set amount of time, so you'll have to keep paying them to keep them off your back. Also not good for profit, I suppose, but it's a lot less frustrating. You'll need to find a way to avoid the police as well. The map is divided into precincts, each of which have their own police chief who moves around the map each turn. If you become friendly with a police chief, you can bribe them to leave you alone for a set period of time. Bribing them will pretty much make them non-existent for the duration of the bribe. Keep in mind that you'll need to bribe the chief for each precinct you do business in, so it can get pretty pricey. The alternative to bribing is to make sure you and your crew aren't doing any illegal actions while a police chief is nearby. If you or a crew member are caught, you will lose everything in your inventory. As of making this video, I have 10.4 hours of gameplay. I'll be honest, I haven't finished any of the various campaigns that I've started. I've ended up dying in all but one of those. The combat system is what really disappointed me. I eventually reach a point where I can't expand my territory, and I get taken out by an enemy gang. However, it's totally possible that I'm just bad at this part of the game. Probably likely. Combat aside, this is a fun game and is definitely worth the $30. Growing your business and increasing production is pretty satisfying, and there are a bunch of upgrades to work toward. The developers seem to be involved with the community and have already released a few updates. To recap, here are some things City of Gangsters does great, and some things the devs can work on. Pros: replay value. Character customization, randomized maps, and the variety of alcohol you can produce makes each playthrough unique. Useful tutorial. You have to admit, Aunt Kathy is pretty great. Goals: increasing production and improving your operation will keep you hooked for a while. Price: not an offer I can't refuse, but it's reasonable. Cons: clunky interface. The UI can be frustrating to use at times. Boring combat and lack of defenses. Combat is dialogue-based, and you can't really defend yourself. So what do I rank it? On a scale of 0 to RimWorld, this is a mid-tier game that's worth the $30. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.